Exactly 1 year ago, we finished converting this old Sainsbury's delivery van into the ultimate Arctic-ready adventure vehicle. We then set off on the adventure of a lifetime to a place we never dreamed it would be possible to visit like this.
Welcome to the Arctic Circle.
We explored the Nordic Arctic in the depths of winter, visiting Norway, Sweden and Finland.
Well, we thought we were quite well prepared for this trip, but we realised quickly when we stepped out into -25 the first time that nothing can prepare you for this. How anything survives in this untamed and unforgiving environment absolutely blows our minds.
Now, as you all know, I fell head over heels for the Arctic weather. But even frostbitten testicles didn't stop the fun.
So the Sainsbury's van has conquered one Arctic, so I think it's only right she should take on the other. So Canada and Alaska, we're coming for you. But we need to do some repairs first. Now, if you missed our live last week, you're probably wondering what on earth is going on, because the last time you would have seen us, we just finished Big Red. Now, we went through it in loads of detail in the live, so I'm not going to bore you with that, but the short story is we ran out of time.
And it gets too cold in Canada because obviously we're off to Alaska where we're guaranteed to get -30, but we could get down to -50 as well. So
Oh God, what are we doing?
we don't even like the cold. But to do it in Big Red with the pop top, water tanks outside and everything like that, although it would be so much fun, it's not a sensible option.
No, and she's just not made for the job.
I think we'd be stupid to do it really. And this is like a once in a lifetime thing because you never know what's going to happen. So if we don't do it now, we might not be able to do it. So
yeah, we don't want to miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
But the Sainsbury's van is booked on a ship for a month's time. And after we went last time, we learnt loads of stuff. So we've got some improvements we want to make. And also, she took a battering, so she needs a bit of work.
So as you can see, the old girl is looking a bit of a state because we started stripping her apart already. Now, down the bottom here, we've ripped the panel off because we're going to do some heating upgrades to her. And then we've taken the fridge out as well because we're going to do some electrical upgrades. And then part of that heating upgrade is we've had to rip out the wall in the bathroom too. But the most important thing is to get it mechanically sound, because if you can remember last time, we had a few issues. We broke down again, and this time it's bad. Engine won't even start now. Nothing. She's alive, buddy. She's alive.
She might be going, but she's not going well.
Running like a bag of Now I'm hoping I won't see this site for the whole trip without there, apart from topping washer fluid up. But I think one of the issues we had was because this is a newer engine, it's got an EGR valve and a DPF. And if you don't know what they do, they reduce the engine emissions that they put out to the atmosphere by trapping all the soot in the DPF. Then they raise the temperature in the exhaust to burn it all away. Now, the problem with this is because it used to be a supermarket delivery van, it would stop-start a lot, so it would never get hot enough to burn away. And then when we went to the extreme cold, it couldn't get hot enough to burn away. So even though it runs all right now and we've got it sorted, what I want to do is do a bit of preventative maintenance and clean that DPF right out. Now, because you can't see inside the DPF, the only way to check it is with a code reader or some diagnostic equipment. Now, some systems will let you do a manual burn, which you press a button and then it'll rev the engine up and it'll automatically do a burn itself. But this doesn't do that, so the only way we're going to clean her up is by taking it for a drive and giving it a good thrashing. Now, I've got 4 things to help me with that. First is this Cataclean. It saves fuel, reduces emissions and helps pass your MOT. All you do is put it in your fuel tank. Second is the DPF cleaner. First, remove the sensor that's closest to your DPF on the exhaust system. Then you get this pipe and then put it in the hole where the sensor was and feed it right in. And then you empty the can. Third is the old thermal cover that Jess made for the Arctic. Now, this will stop all the air getting into the radiator, which will mean it'll get hotter quicker and it'll stay hot. And fourth, you need somebody who's got no sympathy for an engine whatsoever to give it a good thrashing. Also known as General Jess, the Leadfoot.
They call me the DPF cleaner.
Can't put it in gear.
But John missed out one crucial step, and that is, for this mission, you need some high quality fuel. quality fuel.
Well, hopefully that's done the job anyway, because we've gone from 66% soot content all the way down to 1%, so happy days. Now, one thing I would say is if you do something like this where it's almost like a forced regen, then manufacturers always recommend you change the engine oil, which is a result because ours is due a service anyway.
Now, I've been asking John for ages to teach me how to service a car, so I thought today's the day. Oh my God. I'm not really very tall.
Go on.
Maybe one at a time. Oh my God.
Get out of the way.
No! This is the thing with him though. He's a good teacher, but he's such a taker-overer when you're struggling. Huh,
We're
see?
out. Don't crack your knuckles.
Oh God. Okay, we're moving.
What you can do is if it comes out, you can hold the bung in and then just pull it out real quick, but you've got to be quick with it.
Okay.
Or it's going to run down your arm.
I'm a bit nervous. Oh! Oh, that wasn't too bad. Good God.
So if you have it at an angle like that, you want
Yeah.
to make it easier, so you just loosen that, get it to where you like it, and then you can be like that rather than being all like that.
Ah, I see.
Or you can pull it towards you like that, you know what I mean? Just get it at an angle where like
Where
it
I've got,
suits.
where I can use my muscles.
Just not like that.
But that suits me. Because I'm just combobulated. Okay. You know what fascinates me about mechanics? The fact that John can just look at a bolt and guess the spanner size. It's like a magic power. Do I need to be a bit rough with it? Like it's not like hard.
Yeah.
Whoop. Have you ever left a tool in an engine? Or like on a vehicle?
Many a time. We used to have it, right, where we'd do a service on a truck and somebody would lose a tool, so like an air ratchet or something, but then it'd come back in for the next service and it'd still be on the chassis. So we tightened that up and then we got the fuel fill, which is a bit of a pain on this.
So this back in exactly the same way, yeah?
Yep.
What about, have you ever left a tool in an engine that's made it go bang?
I've never left a tool in an engine, but I've done plenty of bad mistakes. Probably my worst one is when I was in Australia. I was working on I think it was like an 8x8 mining truck, and they had to drive it up north, which was, I don't know, probably 2 days drive, 2 whole days as well. And I forgot to tighten the level bung on the axle. So it drove up there, oil came out, they kept driving, caught fire. And it wrecked the axle, so it was a whole new axle, so it was like $60,000 for a new axle. And that's where I do feel sorry for some companies, really. Like, they claimed on insurance, and I was mortified. I went in on Saturday or Sunday, I think it was, to get it job done. I said I would do it without like paying me and everything, which they paid me, but
It's not like you to make a mistake.
oh, I've made loads of mistakes. The funniest ones, right? So we'll have like an engine on a Scania, say it takes 35 litres of engine oil, and they'll drain the engine oil and they'll forget to put the drain bung back in. So they'll put 35 litres of brand new engine oil.
All over the workshop floor?
No, straight through the engine, straight into the drain bung that's underneath.
Always amazes me how it's like such a different colour. So fresh. Well, that is job done. What do you reckon, boy? You make a mechanic of me yet?
Well, you're probably the sexiest apprentice I've ever had. My 50-year-old balding mate that I used to work with didn't quite do it for me.
What a compliment. Now, if everything goes to plan, we're hoping to spend Christmas in the van in Canada. But I was gutted the other day because I realised we're not going to be able to watch the Gavin and Stacey Christmas special because BBC iPlayer doesn't work overseas. But then I remembered that Surfshark, who are the sponsor of this week's video, allowed me to change my virtual location and quality. We'll be able to watch the Gavin and Stacey special while we're in Canada.
So let me get the delicious Dawn to tell you why you need Surfshark.
Oh, Pammy, did you hear what happened to Sue?
What? Big fat Sue?
Yes, well, she's on holiday, Gran Canaria, sunning herself, living the life, all that. Anyways, goes on the public Wi-Fi, does some banking, someone steals all her money.
Oh my Christ! Well, I've been telling that lanky mardy arse Mick that we need Surfshark because, Dawn, it's a virtual private network. It encrypts all your information and keeps it safe for when he finally takes me on that holiday to Sardinia.
But do you know how to get it though, Pammy?
I don't, I'm afraid, Dawny, but does Pete know?
Oh, don't talk to me about that vicious little pig.
Well, I tell you what, we'll give Nessa a try, because she used to be in security, didn't she? Oh, hello, Nessa, darling.
All right, Pam. What's that pertaining?
Now, I was just wondering if you knew how to get Surfshark.
No, but let me give Bryn a call. Oh, Bryn, what's occurring?
Now then, Nessa, I've just been on Twitter, and Dor said you've been talking to Pam about Surfshark.
I had as it goes. Genuine.
Oh, what you gotta do is go onto the World Wide Web. Brilliant it is, Ness. And go on to surfshark.com/trueblue. Now, Dick Powell told me they've got an unbelievable sale on at the minute, where you get an extra 4 months Surfshark for free at an unbeatable price.
Tidy.
Now, if you've not watched Gavin and Stacey before, then what have you been doing with your life? But I don't know who I'm attracted to more, Dawn or Nessa. I told her to keep that wig out for later. So I've just fitted their wires to the mud guards because the last trip we did on the way back, one of them got ripped off, and I think it's just because all the snow sticks to it, it gets caught up and then it got caught up in the wheel. Because there's not much space around by the mud guard itself, it's pretty close, so hopefully that'll do the job there. And then I've got it up on the front stands because we need to replace the engine preheater. Now, I'm not impressed because we only used it for about a month and it leaked from day dot, and then in the summer I came outside one day and the motor was just running constantly, and the only way I could stop it was to pull the fuse. Now, if you don't know what an engine preheater does, basically it warms up all your coolant and then it pumps it around your engine block. So then your block, your pistons, your bores and all the fluids in your engine are nice and warm before you start it, because trying to start an engine in them crazy temperatures is not good for it.
Come on, boy. Do you need my help?
I don't want to get covered in coolant. Oh, tell you what, this is my least favourite job. I don't mind building a whole camper van, but redoing jobs is my pet hate.
Ooh.
Now, this one is the H-Calorie brand, and I don't want to slay them too much because somebody might have this unit and been lasted 20 years. But from my experience, and friends of ours as well have got the same unit, and that played up ever since they got it as well. I would say they did send me a control unit to swap it out to see if that was the issue, but with all the distances and how remote it is in Canada, I don't want to risk it, to be honest. So yeah, unfortunately I wouldn't really recommend them. So this time we've gone for a decent brand. We've gone for the old Auto Term again, and like usual, all the accessories they come with are spot on. So good old Auto Term. Now the units don't look much different between the two. This one is slightly smaller, but one thing that will be interesting to see is if this unit's any quieter, because when we started the old H-Calorie one up, it sounded like a jet plane. And we couldn't even do like intros or anything standing outside the vehicle because it was so loud. So that'll be interesting to see. But what we do like about these is you can use them for hot water systems as well, if you have like an expansion tank. But also you can use them for like central heating in radiators and things. So one thing we were thinking is the next build, what would be cool to do is to run like underfloor heating with it. It's one thing that would keep Jess happy anyway. The good thing is the bracket is exactly the same, so it fits straight into the holes I've already drilled.
You're guilty. So which one do you want to tighten first?
Right, this bottom closest to the front.
Same side, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Now this is the most important job of the whole operation because we've got to refill the coolant. But if you don't have it down to the right concentration, it can actually freeze in your engine, which means 1, it won't start, 2, you're at risk of blowing pipes, and 3, you can actually damage the block as well. Now, we know what concentration we're putting in because we're refilling it, but we'll still be checking it with this antifreeze tester. And it works just like a turkey baster. You pop it into the header tank here, take a sample, and it will tell you what temperature you're safe to go down to.
Now, I've got the water heater all fitted underneath, ready to go, but for the electrics, we've got a normal starter battery under here, but we've also got an auxiliary battery under the passenger seat, and that came with it when we bought it, and I think that was to run the fridge and all the electrics in the back. But the good thing about having this is I've wired the heater into this, so we don't ever risk running down our main starter battery. And the other good thing is as well, this charges off the main system too, so it'll always get topped up. I've fitted an isolator in here too. Now that isn't for the water heater, that is for another mod that we're going to do in a couple of weeks, but I'll let you take your guesses what that's going to be. And we've also got the switch panel on here too. Now what I like about this control panel is obviously you can just turn it on and off like normal, but also you can set timers on it too. So if you know you're going to be getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning and heading off, you can set it for like 6:30, and then you'll get in here, it'll be ready to go. But also if you run these for like water heaters, then if you knew you were going to have a shower at 5 o'clock, you could set the timer like that too, almost like an old school immersion heating system in your house. The other good thing about these as well is when you go to a lot of cold countries, when you go into their car parks, they've got electrical hookup points, and that's because a lot of their vehicles have got electronic heaters in them. So they go into the shop, come back out, and their coolant's nice and warm and they're ready to go. Well, what I like about this unit is you can also set this to run for a certain period of time as well. So if you're going to the shop and doing your Friday big shop, for example, and you're going to be like 45 minutes, rather than coming back out and your engine's going to be stone cold, this will just keep it ticking over at that temperature. So when you come back, your coolant will be nice and warm, your air heaters will be nice and warm, and you can just crack on and go. No more jet plane, so happy days, good old auto term to the rescue again. Now don't forget we've got a 5% discount for anything over in their store, but I would be interested to know if any of you do run this sort of system for hot water, because if we could use one of these for that, then we could get rid of gas, which makes it a lot easier, and then we could just have electric and diesel.
One of the best things we fitted to this van were these belly lockers, because not only do they give us so much more storage and make her a bit less ugly outside, but when you're in the snow and you've used like your snow chains or something, the last thing you want to have to do is like dry them all off before you put them in the van. Don't have to do this, just chuck them in.
Can't beat this little beauty. First time using it.
So while we've got this seat out, we've taken the opportunity to run ourselves another 12-volt feed into the cab because our leisure battery system lives just inside here. So our cables come out from underneath there, run along the top of this box and go up through this hole. And the reason we've done that is because we are adding a Starlink Mini to this van, which I know John showed you last week, and it's going to live in here in this little bit of shadow foam. Now, the reason we wanted the Starlink Mini is because we've been warned by lots of Canadians that the signal over there is not great. And because we're going in the depths of winter, we want to make sure we can always contact someone for help. Plus, it's just convenient, isn't it, to have internet everywhere. Now, the reason we're fitting it in the cab is because these Starlinks are only rated to -30, and it could get colder where we're going, so we want to protect it. But also, if you remember what happened to our solar last time we went to the Arctic, it ended up covered in a really thick layer of ice and snow, which is obviously going to affect the performance of this, and it can't be good for it either. Now, Starlinks do have a melt function, but how that would go in those kind of conditions, I don't know. And also, that's going to end up using a hell of a lot of power. Whereas if we put it in the windscreen like this, obviously we have to clean the windscreen all the time for driving, so that's no big deal. And I've done a speed test on it in here and outside, and it gets exactly the same.
Well, that went a lot easier than I expected anyway, because we're pretty much done. So Jess has run the wiring all the way along and up into the box. So we just got to get the locker back on there. And then in the dash here, remember last week I was showing you that Tiger X bed socket? So I've got that installed, so that's what's going to power the Starlink Mini. And then I've rigged it up a little switch as well. So rather than pulling that plug every time, I can just switch it on and off there. And then in the back here, I've just wired it straight to the main fuse panel, which is running off the leisure batteries. Now, even though they're low power usage, they still use about 20 watts. So this way, hopefully we can run it 24/7, but if we do want the option of turning it off, like when we go to bed, we can do it nice and easy.
Well, I'm sorry it's been a bit of a dry, mechanical-based episode this week, but I think you'll understand why we wanted to get all these jobs ticked off the list and make sure she's in ship-shop shape. Ship-shop shape, is that how you say it?
Tip-top shape.
Tip-top shape before we ship her off to Canada.
Yeah, well, we want to do an extended road test on it, make sure we've got no coolant leaks, no issues, and if we have got any issues, at least we can get them fixed in time anyway. So.
Yeah, and because we want to get it MOT'd before we go, so we get as long out of that as possible, we just want to make sure that she's on point. Yeah. But we have got some really fun mods that we were going to make to this as well.
Yeah, well, one of them I never thought I'd do to this van, and always like, you don't need that, but I think we need it.
You're super excited for it.
Can't wait to show you that one.
And then another thing that I'm really looking forward to sharing with you next week is something I've been working on for a while, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit nervous about it. So we'll look forward to seeing you then, and don't forget about that Surfshark link in the description.